From time to time, we like to stay in touch with important news items affecting Canadians. And one such item that we've been following for a number of months now is a private member's bill, C-268, that would amend Canada's criminal code to introduce a new human trafficking offense, specifically addressing child traffickers. This bill was first brought forward over a year ago by Joy Smith, Member of Parliament for Kildonan-St in Manitoba. And there's a good news update about this bill. And to fill us in, we have Joy Smith joining us now on the line from Winnipeg. Joy, thank you for joining us, and tell us what just happened with this bill as of last week.
Well, thank you. And what just happened was it was passed through the Senate, and it's awaiting royal assent, so it will become a law in Canada. I'm just thrilled.
All right, congratulations, Joy. I know you are getting inundated with a lot of congratulatory emails and calls and so on. For those not familiar with this whole issue of human trafficking in Canada, can you recap the problem that you're addressing by this bill?
It's the fastest growing crime in Canada right now. The problem is that perpetrators are buying and selling children and forcing them into primarily the sex trade, also forced labor. And what happens is children are very vulnerable. They're very easily intimidated, and these perpetrators are making an awful lot of money off the backs of innocent victims. It's cheaper to buy a child and resell them than it is drugs. So this bill is extremely important because it sends out a message to the criminals that our children are not for sale.
It's hard to believe that that kind of thing is even happening in our country. What kind of punishment does this bill now allow for?
Well, I wish it gave them 98 years behind bars, but I would have got a court challenge. It gives them 5 to 6 years. If they sexually assault or aggravate a child in any way in that regard, they get 6 years, mandatory minimums. In fact, they will spend time behind bars. And the reason why this is so important is the fact of the matter is that many of these perpetrators are getting off right now. And this tool allows police officers to use this tool to get them away from their victims. Often when victims go to court, they just absolutely do not talk because they're afraid. They're looking over their shoulder all the time. And the importance of this is the separation of the victim from the criminals who did confine them and force them to do these things. It gives them time to be counseled and a time to get over their ordeal and start their lives again so they can be productive and happy people. And this does happen with counseling and with supports.
Now, I suppose the challenge now becomes enforcement. Do you see any challenges ahead in that regard?
Well, police officers are telling me that this law is going to be an extremely big help to them, simply because it's yet another tool in a court of law where they can, if it's proven that someone has trafficked a child, if that's proven, they will spend time behind bars. What's happening and what has happened in the past is even though they know this has happened, the perpetrators have got off on a very light sentence. Manny Picani, who was convicted of child trafficking a couple of years ago, got a very, very light sentence for trafficking a girl over 3.5 years. He trafficked her 15-and-a-half-year-old and made $360,000 off of her. And I just had coffee with that girl 3 weeks ago, and we keep in contact all the time. And you know what? She still looks over her shoulder. So now there's a new page that's turning. There's a tipping point here in Canada where there's a message going out to these criminals that our children are not for sale, and if they do it, they're going to spend time behind bars.
Well, Joy, thank you so much, and congratulations once again. We really appreciate your determination and those who've worked with you to see this bill pass through. So God bless you for that.
Well, it's the grace of God that it got through Parliament.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Bye for now. And that was Joy Smith, Member of Parliament for Kildonan-St in Manitoba. And let's remember to pray for the many vulnerable children across our land who fall prey to such ruthless individuals. And now maybe these predators will think twice before harming the precious life of a young person. Pray also for those in leadership over us, that God would grant them wisdom and boldness to lead well and righteously. So God bless you, and remember to stay in touch.
Now there are even more ways to join the 100 Huntley Street online community. We'd love to hear from you, so stay in touch with us.